Hi, I'm Patrick Ananta Sutardjo. I am Kali child, and I would like to talk about the question today, um, why am I not vegan? Um, in the forerun, I would like to say that I myself am a vegetarian. I do not eat meat. I do not support the cruelty and the killing of animals. I am against slaughter of animals. I do not wear leather, nor do I wear silk, nor do I wear fur. I am against the exploitation and the cruelty inflicted upon the animals. So I am vegetarian. But I do drink milk, and I do eat eggs, for example. I do eat dairy products, and I do, as I said, drink milk. And why is that so? Because many vegans argue that to be really protective of the animals would be to follow a strictly vegan lifestyle and a strictly vegan diet. So that is to say, not to eat and not to consume any products that have been obtained or produced by any cruelty against animals, or by any animal abuse or exploitation of animals. And of course, the dairy industry, they do exploit and abuse animals, and they do inflict cruelty upon animals, and calves are getting killed because of the separation of the mothers that are getting exploited for milk. They need to be born by a cow, and then they get separated from the cow, and then when there is no use for the calf, then such calves are also killed. This happens, but this does not happen all the time in the dairy industry, but it can happen, of course. And also for eggs, baby chicks are shredded and they are killed because they are not of economic use for the industry trying to sell the eggs. And this is cruelty, of course. And to make this point clear, I do not support this. I stand up for the rights of the animals. I stand up for the rights of the innocent. I speak out for the animals and for animal protection and for good living conditions of the animals in the dairy industry and also in the egg industry. But now I would like to talk to the vegans now, or I would like to talk to everybody basically, in that sense. Why am I not following a strictly vegan lifestyle? And the reason is that if people are not consuming dairy products anymore, if the milk and the dairy products obtained by cows are not being sold anymore, and if there is no economic value anymore for the industry in this, then these cows are brought to the slaughter for meat, because obviously there is meat production in this world, and there is a relatively high demand for meat in this world, since there are many people living not vegetarian, not vegan, and so people eat meat. And if there is no economic use for the cows in the dairy industry, they get slaughtered for meat. So the cows are being killed for meat if the milk is not being sold. Equally, it is the same with chicken. If the eggs of the chicken are not being sold, what happens to the chicken if they have no economic value, if they have no economic use for the egg industry anymore? What happens to these chicken? They are being killed for chicken meat. This is what really happens, and this is the reason why I do not live vegan. Because if I would not drink any milk, if I would not consume any dairy products, if I would not eat any eggs, then I would contribute to the killing of cows and chicken. I'm not drinking milk or dairy products because I would ignore the sufferings inflicted upon the cows, or I do not eat eggs because I would ignore the suffering of chicken, or because I want to have the taste. I do not need the taste. I do not need milk products. I do not need dairy products or chicken products like eggs. I do not need this. I could perfectly live vegan, but out of compassion for the animals, I do live vegetarian instead, because by my consumption of dairy products and by my consumption of eggs, I do care for the animals to be not brought to slaughter, so that the economic value of what they are providing does not decrease, so that they're not given up to slaughter. Yeah, so this is why I propose strongly to, in this time, live vegetarian instead of vegan. Although many vegans argue, vegan is the only cruelty-free lifestyle. No, it's not true. To live vegan is not so cruelty-free, because you might think that when you live vegan, you just abstain from all the animal products, and from dairy and from eggs and so on, and you think that by simply not consuming this, you're doing something good to the animals, but in fact and in reality you're not doing something good to the animals in that sense. Of course it is good not to eat meat, but you're not helping the animals in that sense who are brought to the slaughter when the economic value decreases and when dairy products, milk and eggs are not sold anymore. Then these animals are being slaughtered for their meat, because we live in societies in the world that are to the majority meat eaters. The aim in the end, of course, when no animal is being slaughtered for meat anymore, is of course a vegan world. This is what I totally acknowledge, that veganism is the way in the world. But now, in this time that cows are getting slaughtered for meat and chicken are getting slaughtered for meat, it is better to live vegetarian and more compassionate, and it does more good to the animals to live vegetarian instead of vegan, to prevent the killing of animals that are not useful anymore and not of economic value for the dairy industry and for the egg industry. So this is why I live vegetarian, and I strongly propose to you and suggest to you that you also live vegetarian. And of course, when there comes a condition when animals are not being slaughtered for meat anymore, then you should definitely go vegan. Then you should definitely live vegan when no animal is slaughtered anymore. Then of course the world condition, the good condition, is the vegan lifestyle, and that is true. But at this present moment it is better to live vegetarian. You do a greater favor to the animals by living vegetarian now instead of living vegan. This is, by the way, also something that Buddha has taught. Buddha also has taught a vegan lifestyle, but it is also to be said that to prevent cruelty and to prevent killing, it is now better to live vegetarian, and this is also the way to go. Who does not live vegetarian or vegan, who is not against the cruelty and the slaughter of animals or of humans, of course, such a person is on the way to rebirth in a hell after death, and such a person is on the way to destruction, to self-destruction by his or her own evil karma. And you should be aware of this, that meat eating and the ignoring of cruelty and killing and slaughter entails very bad karma in this world and also in the next life and in the next world to come at rebirth after you have died. Yeah? Then you stand before Lord Yama, the god of death, and he will judge you for what you have done and what you have left undone, what should have been good. And all the meat eating, this is sinful, and this is punished by Lord Yama with hell. There are many different hells, and very terrible hells where you burn in hot iron pots, where you're burned in boiling oil, where you have to swallow burning hot, glowing hot iron balls that destroy and that burn your whole intestines. Your skin is being peeled off and your skin is being torn off you in hell when you have received a new hellish body as a meat eater, when you have received a new hellish body, and then you will suffer, and this body will be put together again and again and again after it has been destroyed in hell, and it will be put together again and again. It resurrects all the time, all the time, all the time, so that you can, for ages and ages and for eons, experience the sufferings in hell. This is what Buddha teaches. There are also cold hells with ice cold temperatures that burn your skin, that burn you, and you will suffer terribly. And there are stakes where your flesh is torn apart, or there are mountains that fall upon you and crush you, and there are trees with razor blades that tear your body apart, bleeding, and until your body is destroyed. But you cannot die in hell, because your body always comes back together. It resurrects all the time for your suffering to continue over and over again. This is what in the hells happens. This is what the holy Buddhist scriptures say about the torments of hell. There's a hell, the iron hell. It's a square place. It's a very big place that is on fire. It's burning, and the ground and the ceiling is made out of iron, and this iron is totally hot, and in this place you will be burned and burned and burned, and you will suffer terrible pains in this hell. This is the fate of people who are not against cruelty, not against the slaughter of animals or humans, who are not against cruelty in general, who are not against meat eating, who are meat eating. Such is the fate of these evil people, of these sinful people, who do not what is good, what is right, and who do not live by love and compassion towards all sentient creatures, but transgress the highest law. And there is no forgiveness that you can back to. There's no God that you can back to for forgiveness. You can back to your God, you can back to Allah, you can back to the Lord for forgiveness, you can back to Jesus Christ for forgiveness. But the karmic law is not a God that you can beg for forgiveness and mercy. It happens, the karmic repercussions happen, the karmic consequences happen, and you will be judged by Lord Yama, the God of death. That this is true, you can know by practicing the Buddhist way, because what the Buddha has taught you can see for yourself when you examine it as true. This is something that you can, beyond any doubt, examine yourself, and then you will know that the judgment before Lord Yama in Yama Loka, in the place of Yama, in the heavenly world of Yama, or in the world of Yama, is real, and that the dead sinners who have died will be assembled before Lord Yama, and he will judge the sinners, and the sinners will go to be reborn in a hellish body in hell, where they are constantly resurrected to suffer on and on and on for eons. This is what you should know. Be aware of this. I wish you all the best. I wish for you that you are free of the causes of suffering. Be blessed. All the best. Om Mani Padme Hum.